Hey guys, Coop from Garage Gym Reviews, and today we are reviewing this bad boy behind me. This is the Titan plate loadable lat tower. I get asked about this all the time. We've done a full review on the weight stack lat tower. If you'd like to see that, hit the link in the bio. And if you'd like to see a direct comparison on that, we are doing one later in this video where we compare them side to side. However, if you'd like to see more in depth, let me know in the comments and we can make that happen in the future. Okay. Let's get into the plate loadable lat tower. The first question is, why would you even go with a plate loadable version? For any home gym, here's what I'd say. Plate loadable has three big benefits. Number one is you can move it around. Listen, you all know that your home gym is never finished. It's like the ongoing joke. People in the Facebook group will go, Coop, my home gym's done. And everybody just comes in, jumps in the comments, is like, no, it's never done. And then a week later, they buy something else. So you can move around your setup easily. If you have a weight stack, you have to undo it. Number two, weight stacks are expensive. They're way more expensive than something like this. We'll do a comparison to this one as well as other weight stacks here in this video later on. However, just understand this is gonna be about a third from even the lowest budget-friendly versions that are out there that use weight stacks. And number three is the fact that you can use the weight you've already got. Plate loadable options are just so much more accessible and versatile for most home gym owners. That's why I like these, and that's why I like this one. That's not to say that I think this is the best maybe that's out there. I'll kind of compare them to some others. However, I will say overall, this has a lot going for it, and the reason it has a lot going for it is thanks to these weight horns right here. Now, feature-wise, this has two main functions. The first function is obvious, it's a lat pull down, but thankfully, Titan decided to think a little bit further than just a lat pull down and decided to throw in a low row. The low row allows you to do other exercises, mainly still back focused, but you can use it for some other movements. Let's show you some buttery footage of my amazing muscles. Just kidding. I'm sure I'll get comments saying your muscles aren't amazing. Of the lat pull down feature. Let's do it. Okay, the lat pull down is great, but that's not the only function that's available. Next we have this. This is the low row, and these diamond plate footings allow you to basically securely push up against this. There may be some hindrances here, which I'll talk about later when I talk about my call outs and things that I don't absolutely love about this. However, being able to do low rows is a really nice function, and this is how it looks, and this is how it works. The weight stack lat row is very similar to most Titan equipment when it comes in. We received it just like we do all other equipment from my UPS driver Phil complaining to me, send me a text, hey Coop, you got another order, I can't wait till you die. And then it shows up on my driveway. We got it, we were able to unbox it. It comes in a cardboard box. We put together a lot of freaking equipment, so we may be a little bit faster than most people. We also use a lot of power tools. This one took about an hour, soup to nuts assembly. So taking it out of the box, which the box, cardboard wrapped in lashings, it looked pretty good, assembled pretty quickly, although you do have to be wary of a few options, and those are the cable. You gotta make sure that you route the cable similarly as you're putting it together. If you route the cable at different times, I would say follow the directions somewhat. The Titan directions aren't always the greatest. However, it's not a super hard piece of equipment to put together. If you put an IKEA piece of furniture together, you can definitely put this together. Now there's two main specs that you should look at, and that is the size, the height, and the depth. The height on this is 84 inches, which would make it accommodate most basement gym owners, most people that are putting this in just a spare bedroom, as well as beautiful garage gyms like this. It's 3 inches shorter than the weight stack version, and it just works in most areas. The other size thing to consider, and the one that I don't like, I like the 84 inches. It's not amazing for guys that are extremely tall. I'm 6'10", just kidding, I'm 5'9". And I can get a full stretch, but I worry that guys that are much taller and have much longer torsos but much smaller muscles than me would have difficulty getting. But really the spec that is most worth considering for most people is the depth, because the depth on this, I would think, is one of the worst features about this. I can understand somewhat why they have it because they're trying to prevent it from toppling over. I do think there are some other workarounds they could have done to make it so it's not as deep because it's 54 inches. And 54 inches means it's taking up space 54 inches from the wall to wherever it's going. It's not collapsible. It's used for, not a ton of versatility because it's just like a low row and a lat pull, which does have versatility, but for the space that's required, you gotta remember, you gotta figure out where you're putting this. Not only that, but the width on it also isn't super small because it's plate loaded and because they allow you to use bumper plates and make these weight horns pretty long, which I'm thankful for because there's a lot of people that are using just tire rubber like these. Because of that, it sticks out pretty far. So you're not just thinking, this is taking both height and depth, it's also taking width, and you can't really put things in this area. The reason is because you have to have room for when you put your plates on. So, something to consider before you buy. Now remember, this is a budget-friendly piece, and Titan is not known specifically for having the greatest quality overall, at least in the past. I mean, these are imported products, and they're trying to meet a price point. So with that in mind, I want to talk about the durability and kind of just the overall quality. First is the powder coat. Titan has upped their game on the powder coat. Without a doubt, this is way better powder coat than what used to come in. That's not to say it's the greatest thing ever. It's not a gritty powder coat, and it's also not a smooth powder coat. It's got more grit than it's very smooth, but it's also not enough texture that it would feel good gripping if you had it on handle areas for pull-ups and things like that. So it's kind of an in-between. However, I have noticed that because it's thicker than what they used to put on, it's more consistent than what they used to put on, it's less likely to rust. And when you're doing this, in a garage where the atmosphere is changing, powder cut does matter. And this is gonna get marred and scarred over time from things hitting it. So being able to have a little bit layer there is helpful. The real thing to look at though is the welds. Powder coat isn't gonna cause many issues that could be safety issues. The welds can. And there are definitely some areas on this that the welds are, less than desirable. One instance is here. These are two different pulleys that are welded together. I have personally heard very few issues as of late of Titan welds, but I will say a weld like this, if I'm throwing, 500 pounds like I'll do for tricep kickbacks on this machine, then I wanna make sure that these can hold, and I'm not incredibly confident in that beauty right there. It just looks like a piece of gum just stuck there. It's not beautiful. The other side is better, and some of the welds are better. So if we look up here, some of these welds, they look pretty good. That's a pretty good looking weld right there. There's some others that aren't too bad on different parts of the machine up here as well. However, when I'm looking at some of the other details, I'd like it to be more consistent, and that's an area that I think about. The other one is the pulleys. So they're using nylon pulleys. Nylon and aluminum pulleys, they can go back and forth as far as durability and consistency, depending on how good the machine is overall, and the quality components can determine how smooth it is. I will say this, the nylon pulleys are not gonna be the issue on the smoothness of this machine. These are gonna last. These are not bearings inside of the pulleys. It looks like they're just bushings. So it's not gonna be as smooth or as consistent as what you'd find on their weight stack machine that uses aluminum pulleys and higher end bearings. However, I think for the price point, it works. The pulleys are gonna last and they're gonna be okay. The cable is really the part of the machine that you may experience more wear and tear over time and wanna make sure it's not wearing out and the fraying on top. This cable is not that good. It's not gonna hold a ton of weight. It's a lower end cable. However, most people on here, this is gonna be used for a single use garage gym. And it's not gonna be used for thousands of pounds. So I think honestly for the price, this is gonna be fine. And then down here, the weight trolley. The weight trolley is really the part of the system that's gonna be causing the either increased smoothness or lack of smoothness. And this bad boy is not super smooth. You can probably hear it in the mic. It's just going up and down. It's using just plastic bushings. These are just plastic that are inside of the metal, so there's no metal to metal contact. These guide rods are actually pretty nice and probably the same guide rods that's on a weight stack. But because they're using just plastic sleeves essentially over the top of this trolley, it just rubs. And this isn't one that hasn't been cleaned or oiled. We make sure we clean and oil these before we get them in so we can have the best experience. And it's still going up and down okay. So For the price, this is kind of what you gotta expect. However, I would have rather seen maybe some lower level componentry elsewhere and this be a little bit higher level, because I don't think it would cost that much more to have a smoother trolley right here. And then on this side, you have your rollers and your seat. The rollers and the seat are using similar vinyl, if not the same vinyl, as their 3 times price weight stack, as well as the foam. It's okay, it's not great. The thigh pads adjust up and down. They do roll, however, they are like, it feels kind of chintzy, which is part of the cost. Again, this is a more budget-friendly like option. So when I say chintzy, for the price, it feels okay. I'm just comparing this to maybe some higher end models. So if you're looking at this and this is your budget, then I wouldn't worry too much about those components. I'm just saying, like, for some of the higher end stuff, it's not amazing, but for the price point, I think it works. Next is accessories included. It comes with 2. It comes with a lat pull down bar that sucks. And it comes with a low row bar that also sucks. Now, I probably like a spoiled brat right now because I use some nicer bars. It's nice that they include them, and I would rather them include them than not include anything. But here's my problem. I've seen the price on materials on stuff like this. I know that the cost of this is not significantly less than the model that they send with the lat row or with the weight stack tower. It's very similar and it has knurled. So these with the rubber grips, like, they work. It's not to say they don't work, but having like a knurled version is much better, much more useful. And I don't see this as like the bottom of the barrel level for Titan. This is like a mid-grade option. So I think a mid-grade option should have something better than these types of bars that are on here, my opinion. However, it is better that it comes with something rather than nothing. And if you never used like a knurled lat pull down bar, you probably won't notice anything. It'll be fine. Now, the thing you're all wondering is, like, how does this cost and how does it compare to others? This is $469.99. Hey, $470, okay? 470 bucks to have a plate loaded lat pull down that you can do lat pulls, low rows, and use the weight that's already on there. That, compared to what the market is offering, is one of the better budget-friendly options. This is one of the most budget-friendly options that's available that, you know, has both features for the low row and the lat pull, and like is accommodatable because it just like sits on its own rather than within a rack. Do I think this is better than some of the other options? Not necessarily. For instance, if you decided to go with a rep rack, so you spend a little bit more off the top for a rack, you're able to buy something that's going to be less than that option, but still have the same features, if not more, by a lat pull down and low row that works within a rack. There's other options like the Slinger. That's from Rogue. It's gonna be probably similar cost, not as much feature filled, but it's also gonna feel more smooth and everything like that. I think this works really well for a home gym owner that does a lot of lat pull downs, low rows, maybe wants to use this stuff for some cable work, because you can also use it for like tricep dips and, you know, tricep extensions and things like that. So if you've got the space, that's your budget, you've got the weight already, I think this is a good option. If you're starting from the beginning, I think I would prefer to see somebody get something like a little bit higher end rack and then use some of the accessory components that other companies are coming out with, like Rep, Rogue, and also Titan's got options too. So that's kind of where I would look. However, I wouldn't like crap on this because I think it's a really good option for a lot of home gym owners, and I've heard a ton of positive things. Now to recap, overall, I think it's a good machine. I think the price is amazing for what it offers. I've heard great stuff from the community and I would recommend it. The biggest things that I call out, the welds, I'm not like super impressed by. The size, the depth of it, I think is a little bit larger than it could be. I think some of this stuff could definitely be cut down without like ruining any of the stability factor. And then lastly, it's just some of the accessories. I just feel like they could do a little bit better, and I'd love to see them upgrade just a little bit. Not all the way to like a stainless steel bar, but just something that's knurled, because I like knurling. Okay, this is Coop from Garage Gym Reviews. What do you think? Is this a good option? Is this one that you check out? Let me know in the comments below. We'll see you next time. Peace.